Well, hello and welcome to the J. Sterling Hughes Show, where we share the secrets and strategies of how we are building a rapidly growing law firm. And in today's show, I have an incredible guest that I've been so excited to meet with all week, and his name is Dennis Yu. And I first became acquainted with Dennis. Maybe Dennis was, I think it was about 3 or 4 months ago. I heard you on a podcast, and I asked my assistant, I said, hey, check out this Dennis Yu guy. Go find his name on any other podcast that you can find so I can hear more of what he's got to share. Dennis is a world-class expert in marketing, and especially working with smaller businesses and helping them get started and beat the big guys. His content is extremely valuable for us lawyers, and I've gotten a ton of value from it myself, and I know you will on this call. Dennis was one of the original engineers at Yahoo, but way back in the day, prior to Google, and he's also the CEO of Blitz Metrics. He has written a best-selling book, The Definitive Guide to TikTok Ads. And Dennis, you speak all over the world. I know you've spoken on 5+ continents, 700+ times. And I can say this with all sincerity and all authenticity. You're one of the most authentic, real, straight-shooting marketing gurus I've ever been across. I have an agency myself, and I've been in the digital space for 20 years. And I know snake oil when I see it, and you are the real deal. So tell us about your story and your rise.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm just a search engine engineer. I was a math guy. I didn't speak English when I was 6 or 7, even though I was born in America. I'm called an ABC, American Born Chinese. I was born in Dayton, Ohio. And I was just really good at math. And long story short, when the internet thing came up, I had a mentor who was the CEO of American Airlines. And he said, "You're really good at building websites, son. Why don't you build the website for American Airlines?" And that was back in the mid-90s. I'm older than I look, by the way, Jeff.
The CEO
and because of what happened at Yahoo and all the integration with because of all the integration to build a website for American, because go back to Sabre and the booking system, there's all these systems you have to tie back to. It's not just like build this pretty website, because you have fair quotes and collect money and check people's mile balances. The folks at Yahoo, when they were starting, said, "Hey, we need an analytics guy." So I was there, and I had to tie all this data together between Yahoo search and mail and shopping, finance, sports, horoscopes, all these different things. And I put myself in this cool position where I had access to 250 million users and all the things that they were doing. You can imagine like what that's for someone like me.
Wow.
That's like going to the buffet, right? I love going to the buffet because everything is there. I can, I was doing, first thing I did was, okay, let's find out what people are searching on. Can you imagine like what are the top 10 things? Because we're going through all the search logs, which is 13 terabytes of data per day, beyond what any commercial database could hold. I could send you the files, Jeff, you couldn't open them. Wow. We had to build our own operating system to be able to process those logs. And I saw that the number one search back in was it 99 or 2000 was eBay. And then like the number 7 search was ebay.com, because people didn't know how to type the thing in versus searching. People still today don't even know the difference. And people would type in Bank of America. And then 4 of the top 10 search results were things that I can't tell you what they are, but you can imagine what they are.
Yeah.
Right?
I can imagine.
Because that's what happens on the internet. Right? Yeah. And I learned so much. And I also sort of got this, I don't know what's the word. Like I'm optimistic, but I also got kind of cynical because I saw the underside of what people did on the internet, because I saw all these queries. And I saw all these, you can imagine what people search for, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you some stories, but you can imagine. And I saw that there were a lot of people trying to promise how you get rich on the internet, right? You could start a website and make millions or do drop shipping. And even today, right? You can be an influencer or whatever it is. All these people are peddling to get rich quick through, it's like the real estate scams from before. Yeah. And it just makes me mad how many people are on the internet now selling services because they think it's an easy way to make money to fleece lawyers who do have a lot of money and don't know any better because they're just doing billboards. So I've made it my mission to train up the underdog, kind of like you mentioned, young adults. We have our program in 700+ universities where these kids, they're still in school, and the university provides the apparatus and the kind of project management, if you will, and they start these micro agencies. These students start agencies adopting local businesses, collecting 1-minute videos with their iPhone, running $1 a day on Facebook, posting it to their GMB and to the website and to the socials and to the YouTube and all that, just like you're doing that. And then it drives results, and they have to meet with the client every couple of weeks, go over the results, and they beat the pants off these other agencies. And it just makes me smile. As they learn business skills, even if they don't want to be a digital agency, they learn how to hire virtual assistants in the Philippines, in Pakistan, and other places where we have a presence. And I have 1 million followers on social media, largely because I go international, and all these people that want to make a living doing digital marketing, serving our young adults that own agencies, are doing great. Like, I was in 10 countries in the last 10 weeks. I was in Pakistan like a week and a half ago. Wow. Do you know what the average person in Pakistan makes?
Low amount, I know that.
Like someone who's like a middle-class person, how much do they make per month?
I'm going to guess somewhere around $600, $700.
$80.
Wow.
Maybe even $100. So that electrician, that dentist, the dude who drives the car or whatever, like just general like middle-class jobs, they make $80 a month.
Wow.
And then I gave a keynote address in this Coliseum full of people. And I said, if you can go through our training and be qualified to go through the 4-stage content factory, which is all the stuff that we do is for digital marketing in a legitimate way, then I guarantee you a job. You have to go through the certification, and just like passing the bar, you have to actually go through this stuff and complete the exercises. It's rigorous. It's not just some weekend thing. If you can pass this, I guarantee you a job making $500 a month, which is 100,000 Pakistani rupees, which is like a lot of money in the Philippines or Pakistan. $500 a month. So all of these people are going through our training. I have one Facebook group with 43,000 people in it. You can look it up. It's called Digital Marketing with Dennis Yu. And you'll see like all these people in here are trying to qualify. But how much money does it cost to hire someone to do digital? Look, I'm an American. I love to hire Americans. But how much money do you have to pay? McDonald's has a $20 an hour min wage in California now because you can't even hire people at $30 an hour at 60 grand a year at an entry level to do digital marketing. Is that ridiculous?
That is crazy.
So we're creating jobs, right? Creating jobs in, we'll call them developing countries.
Right.
And then those folks are being employed by young adult digital agency owners in the US. Usually the ratio is about 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Every one young adult in the US will have about 3 people internationally.
I want to ask you about your services for lawyers.
That's how we scale up.
But I want to back up and I've heard you talk about this in some of the previous podcasts I've listened to. You have a vision about training 1 million marketers worldwide. Could you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. The thing that got my start was I had a mentor who happened to be the CEO of American Airlines, and he opened all kinds of crazy doors. You can imagine his network. Mm-hmm. And I was a hardworking, bright young adult. I had no network. I had some pretty good skills, but I didn't have kind of the opportunity. So you can imagine me as like this Asian tiger, near perfect scores on all the standardized tests, 1580 SAT. I missed a couple questions, whatever. Good GPAs and that sort of thing, but I didn't know how to get a job. And my dream, for example, was to go work at Nike, and I couldn't even get an interview because all these other people, their friends' dads were friends with so-and-so and I was really cynical about all that. And I thought, there's got to be a better way than this. And it wasn't until my mentor opened these doors for me that I realized it was a combination of getting the skills, but also having these connections. Like Jack, your son, being 17, don't you think there's an advantage in having Jeff as the dad, opening doors, right? So what if we could open doors at a larger scale where people actually have to earn it? It's not just like some hand me some free job benefit kind of thing, but what if they actually qualified a real certification in digital marketing so that young adults in America can have a real business serving other local businesses, whether it's pest control, family lawyer, garage door, dentist, whatever, in a local category. And then they grow this business that drives real results. We can measure how many phone calls there are. We can measure the traffic. We can measure the revenue. We can listen in on the call recordings. And they grow their business because they hire up people in developing countries. What an amazing, like all the sim thing, like Sim City and all these simulation games, World of Warcraft. But what if there's like a real game with real businesses and real money, and you could feel good about not just being an influencer because you have 100,000 fake followers, but you could feel good about making the phone ring for a funeral home, right? And then as you get more phone calls, the funeral home pays you more and more money. And then you don't have to go to college necessarily, and COVID really unlocked this whole thing when everything was forced to go digital. And that caused an explosion of people in our program. So we've created 250,000 jobs now against our 1,000,000 job target. So we're a quarter of the way there, which is still an F.
Congratulations. Right? Well, it's got to start somewhere though. That is awesome. I noticed on your website, you talk a lot about working with workers offshore. And I mean, I'm a huge believer in that. I have a full-time assistant, works my hours, and she's in the Philippines. Our firm employs about 20 people between the Philippines and Mexico, and they're just super hard workers and incredibly smart.
Philippines is the great. So you use onlinejobs.ph?
Exactly. Yeah.
Onlinejobs.ph is the largest virtual assistant marketplace in the world. There's 2 million of them. And my friend John Jonas started that. And we got a ton of training for the Filipinos on how to work with American clients, on how to skill up with SEO, on how to build websites, on how to edit videos, and how to do all this kind of stuff. So then when folks like you come in and want to hire from onlinejobs.ph, you're more likely to find higher quality workers.
Yeah, we've had great luck there.
Yeah, the Philippines is our #1 source of labor, but South America is coming up. So is Kosovo. So are different parts of the Middle East. I've been to Dubai twice in the last year. I'm going again next month because we're training up a lot of the underemployed young adults there, right?
Interesting. Yeah. So
they got all the oil money, so the government will invest in digital.
Yeah, I was in Dubai just a few weeks ago.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you training folks that are from the UAE or people that are international coming into the UAE and working?
Yeah.
Those are the folks you're targeting?
It's mostly, so the way the government works, because they have all the oil money, is they provide subsidies for UAE residents to go through these programs. So anytime the government says, hey, we need training on ChatGPT, can you train our people and create an academy and all this kind of stuff? And I'm like, sure, because they have money, right? I can charge them whatever I want and they say yes. And it's great. Like the new media academy, I'm going to be there in 2 weeks for the Billion Followers Summit. So they're training up other people on how to be influencers, but these are UAE people. And the government is repurposing that oil money into education so they don't have what, the Dutch disease, right? Remember when they had all that oil money and then just kind of wasted it because they gave it away in entitlements? UAE smart about it because they said, yeah, we got this oil money. It's not going to last forever. Let's use it to build infrastructure. Let's train up our people. Let's allow anyone who wants to start a business to be able to come through this training that the government pays for and bring in the world's best experts.
Interesting. So if I can shift us a little bit over to the services that you provide that are helpful to small businesses, in particular lawyers. And I was looking through your content. You have tremendous stuff on there. So you're a lawyer starting off and you wanted to build your practice. Can you game plan that pretend I'm a lawyer here and I'm starting off, or I'm just wanting to expand it from where I'm at. How would you go about game planning that and building kind of a roadmap?
So first off, we want that lawyer to focus on one thing. So if it's, family law, they better not be doing personal injury and criminal stuff and traffic tickets and like 5 other areas. You got to start with one category.
And why is that?
And when you start with that one category, I mean, it could be personal injury, but even within personal injury, there's motorcycle and dog bite and, trucks and all that. You start with one niche. That's key in local. You have to start with that one niche because then we need to collect 20, 30, 40 stories against that. Now, if you're a new lawyer, you just passed the bar or you just broke off from another firm, that might be a little harder to do. Hopefully, the firm you're at before, hopefully your network, hopefully there's some way where you can tell those kinds of stories to be able to fill out your GMB, which is called your Google Business Profile now, but we all still call it GMB, and then B, to put those on the website and to repurpose it. So, Jeff, if you start with a bunch of these stories, 1-minute videos, don't just say like, Larry Parker got me $2.1 million. If you're in a car accident, contact Larry Parker. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's a testimonial or a TV commercial. I'm not billboard stuff, okay? Yeah. But if you can collect these stories in a way where you're elevating them and talking about them and their situation, and they're a single mom with 3 kids, and it's tough to make the bills, and Johnny just graduated 8th grade, or whatever it is, and then here's how we are personable as part of this, and the lawyers love to do especially be like how they're tough and we always win, and like, okay, yeah, got it, yeah, look at this big check. But isn't it funny? It's like Better Call Saul.
Yeah, exactly.
And that I don't want to go on that whole path on what works and what doesn't work, but the point is, collect the real stories, ask them about who they are. Right. And when you show that you really care, like Daryl Isaac shows even though he's $1 billion attorney, right? But he shows he cares. He's out there actually helping charities, not because it's a photo op kind of thing. And people resonate with that. And so when a consumer, they get bitten by a dog, let's say it's for a dog bite attorney, I'm just making it up, right?
Right.
Then they're going to remember, they don't know who's a better attorney, right? They don't look up, did you pass the bar, or like what's your rating, or they don't know anything about who's actually a better lawyer. They're choosing based on who they like. Mm-hmm. This absolutely drives me nuts. So me as like a data investigative, logical kind of, analyzed person, I learned this 20 years ago. I had a friend who is one of the top plastic surgeons in the United States. And he teaches all the other doctors how to use the latest equipment. He's got patents. Like, he's a very well-respected cosmetic surgeon out of Denver. And we did PPC and SEO for him. And this is when I didn't know any better. We started by putting out all his credentials and all of these, all the diplomas in the back, like all that kind of stuff, right? And that didn't work. You know what worked, Jeff? What drove the most patients in for him?
I'm going to guess a social media.
Just telling stories.
Yeah. Stories sell. Facts tell, right?
Yeah. And then when you have cosmetic surgery, like a boob job, or you get fat sucked out of your butt, that's surgery. That's real surgery. There is a chance you could die, right? Especially if you have general anesthesia involved. And these women would come in because of these stories. And the thing that caused them to eventually come in was they get a free lip balm, which cost him less than $1, right? That's how consumers make decisions. And especially with lawyers, like lawyers are so sophisticated, they're so eloquent in being able to argue and all that. But when you look at your consumer, I don't mean to be talking down to them, but you need to relate to them. You're not arguing with the judge, right?
Right.
And so I think lawyers are just so highfalutin, Harvard, Ivy League, whatever. I mean, I'm Ivy League trained too. I London School of Economics and all that too, so I can play that game as well. But when you just take it down to the more common man level, and you tell stories and you collect them on your phone, you have a bucket of these videos on your phone. Your assistants do it, your paralegals, you just collect a lot of these videos. That one bucket of videos, it's back to the original question. You're asking, what should this lawyer do?
Yeah.
That one bucket of videos represents your brand. That then gets repurposed into YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, your GMB, your website, Quora, like all these other places. Any one particular story can be repurposed into 10 different channels. And I was with Google a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 days with Google, closed doors, had to sign the NDA, what we talked about. Mm-hmm. But Google said it's okay to do that. And literally repurposing it to YouTube and Facebook, like YouTube Shorts and Instagram Stories are the same thing. Twitter, the video on Twitter, same thing. TikTok, repurpose it. It's the exact same thing, just changed up slightly. The video only needs to be made once, right?
Right.
That's what I would do as the first step.
So niche
just to
out.
set the foundation of making sure there's some content going, not ChatGPT invented content from scratch kind of stuff, right? That's going to get in trouble eventually. Right now, Google says there's no penalty, but they're going to bust you on that, right?
Yeah.
You can imagine what's going on there. So that's one. And then number two is I would run local service ads against the category that you serve. There's nothing better right now in law and in anything that's higher ticket than local service ads, because it's made off your GMB. If you have a strong GMB, and you could Google me, Dennis Yu, local service ads. So we have podcast after podcast on how do you set up and tune local service ads. But basically, local service ads are where you don't have to do anything except answer the phone and mark the leads, and make sure your GMB is properly filled out.
So what are some best practices?
Your local service ads account is not more than 3 years old.
What are some best practices in setting up?
What about that?
LSAs?
Best practices for LSA?
Yeah, for lawyers.
Well, first off, make sure that. So I'm going to give you a couple things, and then I'm going to tell you one thing which is questionable, which seems to work right now. So first, you don't want an LSA account that is more than 3 years old, because Google moved to a new infrastructure. So yes, your old LSA account, if it's more than 3 years old, will work, but you basically have to make a new one if it's not, your account should be less than 3 years old.
Okay.
So then once that's there, you have to properly pimp it out on the areas that you serve, proper descriptions, don't have overlap. If you have multiple offices in a state, don't have overlapping territories. That'll get you in trouble. Make sure things like your business name matches what's in your business registration and your signage. And like Google will actually compare the pictures of your signage with your business registration license, with all these other things to make sure. And if any of the stuff doesn't align, they will suspend you. And if you're in a competitive space like PI, other attorneys can report you and also suspend you. And agencies that work for these other lawyers can report you and suspend you. About a third of the time. They can typically find, a Ben Fisher will find it about a third of the time and suspend the competitors. You know that local SEO is all about competition. The fact that you're number 5 means you have to knock out the 4 guys ahead of you, right?
Right.
So by definition, SEO is competitive at the local level. So if you have these things in place, you have a good GMB, you have good reviews, because your reviews are the number one thing that power your LSA, because LSA is automatically created ads from your GMB. I consider it an extension of SEO. Other people consider it part of ads. But you see why I think that's actually SEO that you happen to pay for. Right. Because it starts from what your organic reputation is. And this whole Google guaranteed, Google verified, which is local service ads, shows above the regular ads. So you're still going to run Google ads, but the stuff that shows above at the top is really where you want to be. You don't need to hire an agency to set up local service ads. Of course, they'll charge you a lot. Some lawyers complain that, I tried LSA and it doesn't work anymore. 2 reasons for that. One is there's a lot of LSA spam. There's a lot of these Israeli firms that are setting up fake LSAs. That you can read the article I wrote in Search Engine Land about how that whole dirty ecosystem works. And they're trying to shake you down for the leads because they occupied all the top spots in LSA, and that's been an ongoing battle with Google. Mm-hmm. But number 2, which is more common, is that you didn't set up your LSA properly, where you just jacked up the budget to $100,000 a week when you should start slowly because you don't want to flood the thing because Google won't give it to you. Or you're not answering the phone properly, or it goes to an answering service, or you mark yourself as 24/7, but you're not marking the leads or answering the phone at night or whatever it is. Because Google will give you a few leads initially when you start. And then if you don't take good care of those leads, they're not going to give you any more. So they gradually give you more and more. And then you go from 1,000 a week to 5,000 a week to 10,000 a week to whatever the market will sustain in the category that you have. So if it's pest control and you're in Portland, we know that we could probably spend $5,000 to $6,000 a week comfortably, right? Beyond that, it's a little tougher. I need to bid for a higher, I'm willing to pay more per phone call, that kind of thing.
Yeah. When you say mark the lead, what does that mean?
So there's nothing better than LSA. LSA is a lot cheaper than the cost per call on Google Ads.
Interesting. So when you refer to marking,
I'd always start with LSA, number 1. Then I'd move to Google Ads.
Okay. So when you say
inside
marking
your LSA, so when these phone calls come in for your local services ads, you have to mark what happened to them. Was it a wrong number?
Okay, I see.
Was it for a service we didn't offer? Was it for, someone rescheduling? Was it a spammer trying to call? Was it for, whatever it is? And so you're going to have to dispute these ones. And then, you mark it as booked and closed, it became a customer, right? Yeah. So Google is taking that into account to learn what the best leads are. And so what some lawyers will do, because they don't know any better, is they just check all the boxes like, yes, we offer this. They mark too many things and they get a random mix of leads that come in. That's why you want to choose the one main thing that you do. So if you do family law and you do PI, that's not good for one GMB. You should choose the one thing, like
right.
PI, or even more specifically, motorcycle, right? And just motorcycle, over and over, right? And then Google will learn that those are the leads that you want. And when you mark those leads, if you dispute too many leads, they won't give you more leads,
Yeah. So Dennis, among your agencies that you own, do you have a resource, or is there a certain agency that you would recommend that the lawyers go to go deep on this topic of LSAs and get some help?
So, there's a few of them that are not even ones I have ownership with. I can include a link to some of these other folks, but there's 3 or 4. But even within legal, there's so many different niches.
Right.
Like the family law is completely different than criminal versus immigration versus PI. Like they're all so different. I mean, you can just reach out to me and I'll make a recommendation. And any of you guys, feel I'm happy to recommend.
I didn't know if you had a course.
It doesn't have
or
to
something.
be one that I have any ownership in because I advise most of them anyway. Yeah. You know what's even better, Jeff? Rather than hiring an agency, hire a young adult in your office to do it for you. So there's one company in Kansas City. It's Kansas City accident and injury attorneys, KCAA. So they're doing really well in SEO. Type in Kansas City personal injury attorney, Kansas City whatever, and this law firm pops up as number one. And there's one kid who's responsible for all of that. His name is Braden Moser.
Wow.
And he was hired out of college, and I'll just say it, I think he was making like $40,000 a year, like not very much money at all. But then when you're coming out of Utah or wherever, you know, you can hire these kids. And he's gone through a lot of our training, and he single-handedly done the SEO and digital marketing and website stuff. They fired all these other agencies. I won't name them, but they're ones that you've mentioned. And they were paying these other agencies a stupid amount of money. And this one kid that they're paying not even $4,000 a month to was doing the SEO and the Google ads and the website and all this other stuff. And in the last year, 2 years, things have gone so much better. A, the results are good. And B, they've taken control of the marketing because they have someone in-house in their office. This kid goes to their office every day.
Wow.
In an interim, you could hire me or some of these other folks to do an audit or to help set things up. But I'm a big fan of taking things in-house because and I know you run an agency, right? And, you know, Seth Price runs an agency. I think that the agencies should charge a big fee to set things up, but then they should hand it over to an in-house team that processes content and does operational things like, you know, respond to reviews, copy them to the GMB, all these kinds of things, so that the agency, after they've set everything up properly, can continue to have a retainer, but in an advisory sort of way.
Yeah. And
so what I've seen in PI, which still works amazingly, is that these agencies, when they have control of the website, they got you by the balls. So they'll charge like $50,000 a month. And what I see is that maybe charge $50,000 for the first month or two to get all the stuff built. Just like you want to build a house or build charge that amount.
Right.
And then on an ongoing basis, maybe it's only a few $1,000s a month, because the ones that continue to charge $50,000 a month, what they're doing is creating hidden financing to amortize the true costs. Because what they're really saying is, I'm charging you $1 million for SEO, but I'm going to amortize it over 20 months. And I feel like that's not legit, because I believe what the client should pay should be in proportion to the effort level. And the agency puts in 90% of the effort. This is a dirty secret among agencies. 90% of the effort level is in the first 6 to 10 weeks. And after that, it's like account management, right? It's not like there's all this extra building that's occurring. So the agency will argue, well, they're receiving value month after month, so we should charge in accordance with that. And if they're happy, there's nothing wrong in the marketplace with charging 50 grand. If they're happy, that's capitalism. And I'll say, okay, but that model is not going to last that much longer, because when you introduce transparency and you teach lawyers how to look at their own analytics and how to audit what's going on with the agency, you're going to have some questions to answer.
Yes, that's true. So first thing you said was focus, niche out. Second was get into legal service ads, learn how to master that. Do you have a third step once you're getting through those two you've seen as just
Google ads, regular Google ads. And what I do is bid on the head term, meaning the most popular, right down the middle term.
Like divorce lawyer for us, for example.
Dog bite, injury attorney. Divorce lawyer near me. Divorce lawyer, city name. And I basically just bid on that. And if you don't know how to set up that campaign, any of us can set up that campaign in just a few hours. And I've seen the attorneys that have the most success are driving most of their traffic off of that head term. And it's very easy, because if you're passing back the lead signals, so using the conversion API and other things like not just the fact that drove a phone call, but through lead docket or whatnot, you're passing through that became a case, right? And the different stages of what happens when you're calling them back and following up and figuring out the value of the case and, whether you settle it and all of these, or you refer it out, like all of these signals, if you pass that back to Google, and I confirmed this with Google multiple times, if you pass that back to Google, the system will optimize for you. So it's not that someone is good at running Google ads, because the ads are running themselves. It's that you pass back, this is sort of an ugly data thing, but you have to pass the data back to Google, because if it's just driving phone calls, because you can choose click or phone call or form, Google's going to assume all the phone calls. Well, if there's a phone call, as far as I know as Google, that was a win. But not every phone call is worth the same, right? You could even pass back the phone calls that are at least 1 minute through your call rail. And that sends a signal. You can use different call tracking numbers. You can figure out what came from a brand term, like they search on Sterling Lawyers. Well, if they search on Sterling Lawyers versus divorce attorney, those are different searches, right? Because Sterling Lawyers is a brand search, and I'm going to hold brand search separate from non-brand search. Because if I blend them together, I'm going to be able to declare victory. But you can't take credit on brand search terms, right? Because they're searching for your name. You have to separate that out. That doesn't count. That's navigational, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Things like that. Seth Price and I have gone on and on about that. How agencies that run ad campaigns are taking a blended cost per lead or call instead of separating out brand versus non-brand.
Yeah,
I think it's unethical.
They're getting a lift on that. Yeah, for sure. I've seen that quite a bit.
You can't take credit for that. And especially if half of your leads are coming through people searching for, Jeff Hughes or Sterling Lawyers. That doesn't count. That's because of your reputation. That's word of mouth. That's not PPC.
Correct. Yeah.
You should still bid on your name. That's when people will complain, oh, well, why do I bid on my name when I rank number 1? Because it still creates incremental lift, an extra 70% incremental lift, according to Google studies. So still bid on it, because other lawyers are bidding on your name, so you still have to protect your name.
Right.
So you're protecting your name in a separate campaign for brand. Yeah. And even though you might have to pay, depending on your quality score, $5 or $10 a click to protect your name, it's worth it because those clicks are higher quality. Go look in your CRM and you'll see they are.
Yeah.
And because someone else who's bidding on your name, because they're not you. If I'm bidding on Jeff Hughes and I'm not Jeff Hughes, what do you think the quality score is going to be on that keyword for me if I'm running ad campaigns on that?
Yeah. Poor. You're going to pay more than me.
Like a 1 or a 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to pay 6 or 7 times more. You might be paying $5 a click. I'm paying $60 to $200 a click for that. But it's worth it for me to bid on it, maybe, because I know that that person's looking for an attorney right now. I just have to convince them that, I'm better. Or worse, I'm bidding on Jeff Hughes and the consumer doesn't know any better. And well, they're already on the phone with me. So, okay, fine. Now I just took the lead from you.
Right. I agree. It's a defensive and offensive play to do that. And it's just a no-brainer to bid on your own name.
And Google makes money, and people complain about how can Google make all this money, but you know what? It's just a necessity. You have to bid on your name. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. They've built a great product, so they deserve to get paid for it. So when did you first realize you were a leader?
I never was a leader. I never thought of myself as a leader. I follow this thing called learn, do, teach. So I learned firsthand from someone who's done the thing. Like I learned how to do PHP from Rasmus Lerdorf, who invented PHP. He happened to sit 2 cubes away from me at Yahoo. So I learned firsthand from not hearsay, but I go to the direct source of the person who's done it because I need the direct, pure, unfiltered knowledge. I do something multiple times. Like I built websites multiple times. I've built many websites or whatever it is that you've done. You've tried many cases many times. You've done the thing many times. And then once you've done it, you document how that's done so other people can follow in your footsteps. Because I can imagine, Jeff, you got 25 attorneys. You're not trying every case. You're not answering all the intake. You're not, but you've trained up other people because you have done it all yourself first, right? And then you created a process, training, checklists, SOPs, that now other attorneys and paralegals and you have a process that other people can follow because you've left a paper trail of how you do stuff, right? Success leaves clues. And so what I do is, like, there are all these new AI tools that come out. Like every day there's like another 10 AI tools that do all kinds of crazy things, right? And so I play with them because the founders of these companies, they come to me for some reason. They want to come to me and have me, if I like it, I'll talk about it. People like that. And when I find I'm able to edit videos and magically in one click and turn them into YouTubes because AI tools will do that, I've documented how I do that. And I'll do it 2 or 3 times to demonstrate, and I'll record it as a Loom or a Zoom, and then other people follow my example. And then that's leadership. Leadership is when you've done the thing yourself and other people can follow. It's not because I declare myself as a leader and an influencer. I believe leadership is measured by you turn around and see how many people are following you. That's leadership.
Yeah. So Dennis, this has been amazing. I have a couple quick lightning round questions here, and then we'll conclude on that. What's your favorite quote?
Yeah. The key to success is to be authentic. Fake that, and you got it made.
Yeah.
And that's by Mark Twain. I think that's hilarious because everyone's saying authenticity, which yes, I agree with, but what does that actually mean?
Right. It stood the test of time. What's your favorite marketing book?
I am a big fan of anything. I can find it on my shelf here. The thing is, I don't follow the marketing books because I'm involved in a lot of them. I'd even promote my own.
Yeah.
This is
Definitive
one I
guide to-
co-authored with Perry Marshall. So between him and I, we have the best-selling book on Google Ads. We have the best-selling book on Facebook ads, 800,000 copies sold. And we have the best-selling book on TikTok. If you're a digital agency, or if you're a law firm and you want to know what digital agencies are actually doing, there's this one, Josh Nelson's 7-Figure Agency Roadmap. He's absolutely fantastic. He has the best group of structured trainings of actual 7-figure agency owners that get together. And I feel like the people who are in that group are more likely to be ethical as digital agencies. I'm not saying that they're ethical. If you hire from that group, they're better. I'm just saying it's more likely.
You know, you mentioned Perry
And
Marshall.
I train in that group too, so I have a pretty good idea. I've spoken at the conference there.
You were talking about Perry, Dennis. 2005.
Sorry, what about Perry?
Perry's teaching saved my business and kept me out of bankruptcy, and I'm not exaggerating one bit. I bought the definitive guide for Google AdWords back in 2004 or 5, one of those two.
Yeah.
And when we were about ready to go under, I just completely consumed that book. And from there, got into his mastermind group and then his bobsled run and the whole thing. It took off from there. So he was a huge, huge part of my early success.
Yeah.
So if one of my listeners wants to get a hold of you, how would they best do that? Where would they find you?
Best way is Google me. And if you want to reach out on LinkedIn or Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is, you can email me, dennis@blitzmetrics.com. If you want to text me, I give out my phone number. My actual phone number, answered by me, not a personal assistant, is 612-707-8045.
All right, Dennis.
And I always answer. It might take a day or two if I'm traveling, but I always answer.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. You've been
what's funny,
super helpful.
Jeff, is very few people, they'll go to a mastermind or whatever, and they'll listen to some great knowledge, but they never implement and never take action. I'll speak in rooms of thousands of people, and very few people take action. And I see these people again the next year at the conference, and they don't take action. Yeah. So I have no fear of giving out my contact information because I know very few people will actually do anything about it.
Yeah. Wow,
and the ones that do, more kudos to them. I'd love to see them win. Yeah.
Well, thank you for everything you shared today. And
like all the failed New Year's resolutions. That's how people are.
Yeah. This has been terrific. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for the information you shared today and being so open with everything you've learned.